Do you ever scroll through your phone and feel a quiet sense of smallness? You see the highlight reels of others, the big accomplishments, the exotic travels, the seemingly perfect families, the world-changing ministries. And then you look at your own life. The daily routine, the ordinary job, the laundry that never ends, the quiet, unseen struggles. And a heavy feeling can begin to settle in your soul. A fear, the fear of insignificance. It's the quiet dread that your life might not really matter, that you will live and die, and the world will just keep spinning, completely unaffected by your brief existence. It's the feeling of being a background character in a world full of heroes, and in a culture that screams for you to be bigger, louder, more influential and more extraordinary. An ordinary life can start to feel like a failed life. If you have ever felt this way, I want to speak a profound and liberating truth into your heart today. The world's definition of significance is not God's definition. The world measures by scale, by noise, by public acclaim. God measures by faithfulness. The world is impressed by the extraordinary. God is moved by the loving heart in the midst of the ordinary. Your life, your quiet, simple, ordinary life, may be more significant in the eyes of God than the lives of those the world has placed on a pedestal. Jesus completely shattered our human understanding of value in a simple moment at the temple, recorded in Mark chapter 12. He sat and watched as people put their offerings into the treasury. The rich came and threw in large sums of money, likely with great fanfare. Then a poor widow came. She was likely invisible to everyone else. And she put in 2 very small copper coins. It was a tiny amount, insignificant. It was everything she had. And Jesus' reaction is staggering. He calls his disciples over to give them a lesson. He says, "Truly I tell you, this poor widow has put more into the treasury than all the others. They all gave out of their wealth. But she, out of her poverty, put in everything, all she had to live on." Do you see the beautiful upside-down economy of heaven? God does not measure the size of the gift. He measures the heart and the sacrifice behind it. That widow's small, unseen, faithful act was more significant, more valuable, and more celebrated by heaven than all the large, easy, and applauded gifts of the rich. Your significance is not determined by how much you have to offer, but by your faithfulness with the little you possess. We see this same principle when God chose a king for Israel in 1 Samuel 16. The prophet Samuel went to the house of Jesse, ready to anoint the next king. Jesse paraded his sons before him. They were tall, strong, impressive. They looked like kings. But God rejected every single one of them, and he told Samuel the secret of the kingdom. The Lord does not look at the things people look at. People look at the outward appearance, but the Lord looks at the heart. Where was God's chosen king? He was a young boy named David, out in the fields, forgotten by his own father. He was doing the mundane, dirty, insignificant job of tending sheep. But in that place of faithful obscurity, God saw a king. God saw a heart that was fully his. Your significance is not determined by your public position, but by your private faithfulness. Jesus reinforces this again and again. In Matthew chapter 10, he says, "And if anyone gives even a cup of cold water to one of these little ones who is my follower, truly I tell you, that person will certainly not lose their reward." A cup of cold water. It's the smallest, most basic act of kindness imaginable. It requires no special talent, no great wealth, no large platform, and yet Jesus says this simple, unseen act has eternal significance and will not be forgotten by God. So how do we live in this truth? How do we silence the world's loud demands for greatness and find peace in the significance God gives? First, we must redefine our audience. We get exhausted and feel insignificant when we are performing for the audience of the world, constantly seeking their applause. True freedom comes when you realize you have an audience of one. Live your life, do your work, raise your family, love your neighbor as unto the Lord. Your Father sees in secret. His is the only applause that matters. Second, learn to embrace your Bethlehem. Bethlehem was a small, unimportant village in Judah. It was a nothing town. Yet God chose that insignificant place to be the birthplace of the Savior of the world. Your insignificant place, your small town, your ordinary office, your quiet home, may be the very stage God has chosen to do His most beautiful work. Do not despise your assignment. Third, practice the discipline of faithful obscurity. Find joy in doing the right thing when no one is watching, the patient word to a difficult child, the extra effort you put into your work that your boss will never notice, the secret prayer you whisper for a struggling friend, the integrity you maintain when you could easily cut corners. This is the very substance of a significant life. A life of significance is not built on one grand moment, but on 1,000 small, faithful steps. Instead of being paralyzed by the big, overwhelming question, what is my grand purpose in life? Just ask God a simpler question. Father, what is the next right thing you want me to do? A significant life is simply a series of these next right things strung together over a lifetime of faithfulness. Your life is not small, it is not ordinary, it is a custom-designed, God-given assignment filled with divine appointments and opportunities for eternal impact. Do not listen to the world's lies. The goal is not to have your name known by many on earth. The goal is to one day stand before your Father and hear Him say those beautiful words, "Well done, good and faithful servant." That is true significance, and it is available to you right now in the midst of your beautiful ordinary life.